Hello, YouTube. Going to be starting ourselves a brand new series in Farming Simulator 22. Unlike the other videos on the channel, for the most part, most of my videos on here are VODs from my live stream. This is actually going to be a properly edited up video, made specifically for YouTube, and I do hope you enjoy it. But with all that said, the thing we're going to be doing for this is we're going to be doing a Survivorman challenge. Now, for those who don't know what the Survivorman challenge is, it is a challenge that has been put in a bunch of simulation games, including Farm Sim, that there's not really a specific set of rules. There's kind of a general theme to the rules. The general theme to the rules is stuff like not being able to take loans, not being able to lease vehicles, starting with like zero money, um, pretty much giving yourself like the absolute bare minimum to function at all in the game so that you can like physically make at least some money, and then trying to build up a big farm from that. I have done this challenge before on my live stream on the No Man's Land, but while those videos are here on YouTube, they're VOD format, so it's not the same thing. You actually have to watch me mow the grass and harvest the things in real time. So, a lot more fun when you're live and communicating with your audience and all that versus recorded video where none of that engagement exists. So, with that said, what we've got going on here is I am running at the moment with only one mod, and that is the map itself. I'm not against adding mods to the run if we see fit, but generally I'm trying to keep it mostly vanilla. Because I've personally found a lot of the mods allow me to bypass a lot of the difficulty in the early game, being able to buy like super budget equipment and all that. I'm not against it, there's nothing wrong with that, but for me personally, the way I want to do this challenge for myself, I'm going to try to circumvent where I can, buy equipment that's considerably cheaper. So with that said, we are on the Calm Lands modded map, and this is just one of those maps that has like basically wide open space, do what you want with little patches of trees and roads and all that kind of good stuff. They do have, your market where you can buy your vehicles, a bunch of sell points, so it's kind of like No Man's Land in that regards. The biggest thing is they've kind of separated out the sell points into a bunch of different areas. Effectively, it's the same thing. It just makes the building that you interact with a little bit more involved, but not in a bad way. That said, what we have given ourselves is tile. It's on the map marked as 28, but it's on here marked as 10. That's the one we gave ourselves. And the reason I gave myself this tile is I need to give myself a tile that had trees, which could have been like any of these down here. I could have given myself like one of these up here. The reason I didn't go for these two is while they have the most trees and certainly would give me the most money, they also have like weirdly bisected by a bunch of stuff. This one, I debated this one. It's another one with lots of trees. It's another one with lots of trees. I opted to go with this one. It's near the sell point. That should be plenty of trees to at least get something going. So we've got that. Now, getting away from the map, we have given ourselves the tiniest, ittiest, bittiest little tractor. It's a little 25 horsepower, I believe it's Fenter. And then we gave ourselves a trailer. The one thing I did do that some people will and some people won't do is most people I've seen don't give themselves a house at the beginning. They save up like $5,000, $10,000, and then they'll buy like a modded house or whatever. I opted just not to go that way, and I just put down the $20,000 trailer. There's only one house that's actually cheaper in it. It's the burnt out bus. That's what I used on my other series. But that said, it's a sleeping point. It's like not required at all. Like, I've started ones where we don't use that, and all I do is I set the game to 360 times speed, wait to the next day, and then put it back to normal speed. Needless to say, that's not entertaining. It doesn't give me any advantages in making money. In fact, it actually technically hurts us, because it does have a building, maintenance cost, but it's basically nothing. Now, with this, the way this is going to end up working in the early game is... Oh, and I also gave myself a chainsaw, because that's required to be able to make money. So the early game, pretty straightforward. You cut down trees. What you do is you cut down trees. You cut down trees, you get them to the sell point, and you sell them. And that ultimately gives you your kind of early game money. Now, I don't really know the length of this trailer. I want to say it's like 3.5, 4, somewhere in that ballpark. Alright, so it's more than 3.5, so it's probably about 4. Since we don't have any mods, I don't have forester, so like I can't just take an axe at the tree stumps that are sitting there. I can't, thank you. That was absolutely cursed. I can't, turn on super strength real quick and pick up a tree that weighs over 200 kilograms. For those who don't know, 200 kilograms is the default carry weight. That is what you max out. If something's even decimal points over 200 kilograms, you're out of luck. That was actually a relatively light tree. I'm used to places like No Man's Land where you're dealing with spruce. It seems like the pine is relatively light for its size, which I am not unhappy about. But yeah, just show you, no super strength, can't move it. And again, no judgment for people playing other settings whatsoever. Like, you gotta take a balance of consideration of, like, what is entertaining, what is challenging, what is tedious. All of these things are worth being considered. I do play a lot of games where I do play settings that most people would find exceedingly tedious. Like, for example, one of the main games I am known for is Project Zomboid, where I used to hold the world record for the highest kill count run ever streamed. I was up to 135,121 zombies killed when my character died. But not only that, I started on some of the worst settings possible when it comes to, like, your character and all that. I started with, like, no stats whatsoever, and just made it work. It is a very, very tedious way of playing, because it takes forever to do anything, but I enjoy that, because I usually find, like, the early game to be some of the best parts in a lot of these kind of games. And then, a lot of games, when you get to the end game, they unfortunately become, just going through the motions kind of thing. Keep getting these little snag branches. So you'll see me do that a lot, where I'll flip a branch up in the air, and I'm just trying to get the branch off. I'm trying to grab some of these little trees that aren't going to overweigh us, so it won't be super hard to move this around. I am hoping that while the map showed a lot of trees there, I'm really hoping it actually is a decent number, because there is always the possibility that while it shows there that these trees are actually not particularly dense or large, I think we'll probably still have enough to... Yeah, we'll probably have plenty of trees. I'm starting looking and going, oh no, are we gonna have enough trees? Like, no, we got plenty of trees. I don't know how much is gonna actually come out to be, but the hope would be... I mean, ideally somewhere in the area of like 90,000 would be great. If I get around 90,000, that's enough. We could get a tractor, and like depending on the exact amount we get like a tractor with a mower set up. We could get a little bit over that. You can get the very basics for planting, like the carrots and parsnip. Unfortunately, if you want to do something like wheat, canola, corn, anything like that, there is a decently higher cost to it. I did the math before, I don't have it handy, but it was somewhere in the area of like 135 or so was kind of like the minimum to put them in the ground and be able to harvest them. Because very unfortunately, the cheapest harvester, by the time you get the harvester and the head for it, ends up being somewhere in the ballpark of around 100,000. I think it's actually exactly 100,000. So the point being, the minimum to do those crops, like be able to make a single penny for it, is around 100,000. Now, of course, you'd be like, there are mods that let you get it cheaper. Correct. But as I mentioned at the beginning, I'm mostly trying to avoid those mods. Just, it's my own personal thing. I like to make the hill really tall that I gotta climb. Alright, so I'm gonna grab this tree because I don't really have a good feel for what this tractor can and cannot pull. And I have absolutely done the thing where I overload stuff and I stubbornly put it down into first gear and slowly, painfully drag it over hills over the course of like 20-30 minutes. I think there's even videos on the channel, like shorts, that show that. But, so we definitely want to avoid that. That said, for all of you watching, I'm not going to treat this like a live stream where we're just gonna go through it and you're gonna see it all. What's gonna end up happening is, well, I'll probably keep talking on my end while I'm recording. You know, in case something fun happens that's like, oh my, exclamation, we've launched ourselves into space. You know, things like that. For purpose of the video, more than likely what's gonna happen is okay. Alright, so I'm probably gonna have to take over the gear shift manually, maybe? No, it's doing okay. It's just because we're turning. Alright. But yeah, sorry, getting distracted. But yeah, so what'll end up happening is this is actually okay. I could have loaded this heavier. But what'll end up happening is I'm gonna do this one lap to show you what we're doing. Mostly real time. I'll probably actually speed up the drive a bit. But from then on, like, you know, we'll either fast forward each load or, you know, instead of having you watch me cut up the tree, toss it in, I will just kind of skip it. Because you don't really need to worry about, like, it's not that you probably couldn't cheat. I'm sure there'd be ways. But, imagine be involved. That to, like, cheat this to, like, try and just teleport over. I don't think everything will move. Like, if you did a thing to, like, reset the vehicles and all that, I think the payload gets dropped. I've never done it. I've never had a need to. But as you can see, this thing's struggling. It's getting up to about 6 miles, 7 miles per hour, and it's gear shifting, and it's struggling because we're uphill. So, putting in one full-size tree and a couple small trees seems like it'd be relatively fine. Alright, so what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to go ahead and fast forward this if I didn't already choose to do so earlier, and I'll catch you when we actually arrive. Okay, and here we are. So this is the equivalent to like the no man's lands like area. Like on the left there, we've got the place where you actually buy your equipment. You've got your gas stations over here on the right with the various types of fuel. I believe they have a weighing station if I remember correctly. But you also have a whole bunch of stuff in here for places like to sell the root vegetables in one place, you know, your grass and your wood chips and all that in another place, and the various other things. It was somewhere over here, I believe, was where we sell wood. This is the first time I've actually properly played this map, but I have seen it before. Yeah, here we go. So we can go over here. Oh. Alright, so note to self. We have to lay that down and do straps. So we made about a little over 1,500 on that. Alright, so we're back to the trees. So, what I'm going to go ahead and is while we work on cutting down this tree. So, I do believe our first priorities we're going to most likely have. Now, I don't know how much money we're going to make off these trees. I suspect we're probably in good shape. Because I do see there's a couple, like that one right there in the middle there, that's really big. That's probably a bigger tree that's worth more. These smaller ones, like I said, were probably 1,500. So if we were to look at here, I would just try and ballpark Maybe 70, 80 trees in here. It's really hard to eyeball it when you can't see through the trees. Which means, in theory, we should be talking pretty close to 100,000. Somewhere in that range. And if we do get 100,000 out of that, that gives us a lot of a lot of options of things we can do. Now, as I said, the downside is, unfortunately, that will make it so stuff like soy, corn, that kind of thing won't be viable for us, unless it ends up being considerably over. And the reason for that is, as I mentioned before, the harvester for a lot of those costs between the header and the harvester itself, the cheapest option is 100,000 without counting mods. So since they don't have mods, 100,000 is the ticket for that equipment to harvest it. And you know, obviously, if I can't harvest, I can't make any money, so we can't go that route if we don't make more than that. I also want to try and get something happening that is something other than cutting trees pretty much as fast as I can. Alright, so we're all loaded up. This is going to struggle real bad when we hit the hill up there. Don't worry, you won't have to be subjected to that. Turning will also be really tough. But yeah, so this should, in theory, be about 3,000. So, our options are, depending on which amount of money we get, we can go for doing grass stuff. I don't like going that route, but it's 12,000 for the smallest mower. It is, actually, is it 12,000 for the smallest mower? It's pretty low. It's either 9 or 12,000 for the smallest mower. You need, I think it was 60 horsepower to do that, which means we're probably talking, the cheapest you can get it for a tractor that can run is, I think, 36,000. I'm probably wrong on that. And then you need either a baler or a foraging wagon. And the problem is the baler, I want to say, was 26,000, and the foraging wagon, I want to say, starts at 30,000. So, you know, you can do the math there, and you're talking anywhere from, like, 65, 70, 80k, something like that. Because I don't remember the exact amounts. I'm just going to assume it's higher than I want. Please tell me you didn't do this. Alright, let's change that camera angle. It's fine. But, yeah, so you're talking, probably realistically you'd want to be safe and say somewhere in the ballpark of 90,000. You could probably get it plenty cheaper than that, but that would be the thing. You want to assume it's going to be 90,000. The vegetables, you're going to assume it's going to be at least 90,000. We also have the option of setting up a greenhouse, which the absolute cheapest greenhouse would be well under that. We could get a water tank for 3,000 for the tank to fill, and like 3,000 for the actual thing you pull the water from. That one tends to be pretty expensive to get the water out of it. Otherwise, you know, that's fine. But that would give us some product to sell. You could also do the memeing thing and get something like bees. For those who have never purchased bees, if you don't have any field to support them, the bees that cost like 4,400 or whatever it is, without any supporting stuff, they only give you about 50 bucks a month. They don't cost anything after that, so it is, you know, something after like 10 years they pay themselves off or whatever it ends up being. It's less than that, but it's about there. And sure, that's infinite money if you don't mind fast forwarding the game for 10 full years. We're obviously not doing that. But with all that said, probably gonna get a greenhouse, but we'll fast forward until that point. So I'll see you when we get there. Alright, and we are ready to sell. As you can see, I started to lower it, and then... yeah, physics. Alright, so 3,200 on that one. That puts up to 5,000 roughly. For the cheapest of the greenhouse... Well, I mean, we're not going to get the cheapest greenhouse. What I'd probably do is if we go for the greenhouse, we might go for the one that is 10,000, because we should have plenty for it. It should pay itself back relatively quickly, and that shouldn't be too terrible. So kind of the priorities right now is, realistically, I will need the greenhouse. That's one. Or I don't necessarily need the greenhouse, but the greenhouse will definitely be one of the easier things you can set up for getting an income of any kind that is sustainable. Because right now, the trees are not sustainable. It's good money now, but once I cut down all the trees, they're kind of gone. Unless I get the equipment to plant more, which is another thing I'd have to consider if I was going to invest in. So, with all that, what's going to end up being the plan is, I think, the first thing we do, we get the greenhouse, and we get a water tank. This is not the way I want to go. We get the greenhouse, we get the water tank, and start trying to get that topped off. The other thing I'll need is I'll need a tractor of some kind. If we look at our options for tractors, I'm just going to cut this across the wood while we do this. Don't mind me. First, we'll check to see if there's any sales going on. Nothing. That's... Oh, that's actually something we could really use. So what this is this allow me to hook up to a tractor a pallet lifter. I'll want that for when we get production set up. Fine. I'm not actually upset. It's just not the order of operations I want to do that. So we did get our pallet lifter. But what I want to do is I need to get a tractor that's got probably, ideally 100 horsepower, but at least something decent. So we got like this one for 39,000. We're looking, we got our cheapest one here at 10,000. We've got 39,000 for this one here, which is 100 horsepower, but no front connection, which is probably what we will do is that. But yeah, so we got 100 horsepower and this one for 39. So that's that one. But you notice all the prices just keep on going up. You got this cheap one here, 35. That's only a hair better than what we have, and I don't think it has a good connection. Same here. That's actually weaker than what we have. That's not enough. And then we're over 39,000 again. So you get the idea. We're probably... I mean, that one might work. But yeah, so we're looking at 39,000 for the tractor. Which does unfortunately mean I'm going to have to cut down a bunch more trees. So I'm going to work on that. But that is our first move, is I think we get that tractor. Then at the tractor, we get the water container or the greenhouse. It doesn't matter really which one we get. One requires the other. And we'll go from there. And once we've done that, we'll see where things go from that point. So in the meantime, we're just going to do a lot of fast forwarding and cutting down trees. So enjoy the jams, and I'll see you when we get back.
Sometimes like all you want to do is run. Hear me 29 and I find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I seek what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life changes just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as
Alright, with that, I should be able to sell the tractor, get ourselves to just over 40,000. Buy the tractor that I want for 30,000. Well, the tractor I want for right now, I guess, is more accurate. For 30,000. 39,000 to be specific, actually. And that should make it so I can carry a lot more behind this, and we can start focusing on our equipment. Let's double check when we get here on everything. So I could sell the tractor. Ah, its price has gone down. This is why we double check. So it would drop us down to... We still hit exactly like 40,059 bucks or what, or 68 bucks. So we're gonna go here. That should give us enough. They're at the 40,000. Double check, make sure there's nothing on sale. I was pretty sure there wasn't. Cool. Alright, so now our small tractor, get our 39,001 over here. And I've used this as my first tractor in a lot of runs. So far as the ones I buy. Because like I said, it's kind of nice that if you don't need the front hookup, you basically get a lot of your horsepower right here to get a lot of your earlier stuff done. So the next move we want to do is I'm going to have to save up a bit more money. And that bit more money we're going to save up is going to be towards getting something like a greenhouse or whatnot. That said, what we're probably going to go ahead and do is we will drive our way back to the place. You probably noticed I've adjusted the time a couple of times because I wanted to actually make sure I got something done in the first day. I figure getting the bigger tractor, that's a good first step. As long as there's something to do, it's worth slowing down the time, I guess. There's no strict rule in Survivorman about what speed you run the game and all that. Now, one downside about this tractor is it only is 2 miles per hour faster than the other tractor I just got rid of. The good news is it's 4 times the horsepower, so we can pretty heavily overload this this trailer now and still actually have it worthwhile. Like, you'll still be able to move it. But with all that, thank you so much for tuning in and all good stuff. I do hope to see you on the next video, where we're going to pick up by pursuing the next thing. I do know there's going to be a lot of fast forwarding in these early videos. I do understand a lot of people are probably not going to want to sit here and watch just lumberjacking constantly. This is just kind of what happens when you don't give yourself a bunch of advantages, like either like if I had given myself the bigger tractor, or if I had gotten a bunch of mods with cheap stuff in it, that sort of thing. And again, no judgment at all for people who play that way. You're making content. You're gonna make the content the way you're gonna make it. You know, if you're streaming or whatever, or you know, if you're playing on your own, who cares? Like, genuinely, who cares? If you're having fun, congratulations, you're playing correctly. So with all that said, thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to do stuff like and subscribe and all that kind of stuff. And I will see you in the next one.